It's huge, and it's their whole identity. People lose the sense of who they were. If you've always just assumed or believed you're going to have a family and then all of a sudden you can't, and that whole dynamic of, I actually had a husband say to a client sitting in front of me just recently, I've just been writing a post about it today, if you want to leave me, I'll understand, because we found the factor to be his. And that's like, well, it's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Energy of Success. I'm sure you've seen, if you've been listening for a while now, that I made the decision about 6 months ago to hand select guests to come on the podcast. There are lots and lots of people who would love to be on the podcast because it is in so many countries worldwide and it reaches people that it just blows my mind. I think we're in about 87 or 88 countries. It just blows my mind. And this next guest is somebody that I met at an event that we meant to just possibly, I think the end of early April or something like that, middle of April. And we are recording this and it is like the middle of May or coming to the end of May. And so, Heather, would you like to introduce yourself as who you are and what you do, first of all?
Hello. Yes, I'd love to, Charlotte. Thank you for having me, first of all. My name is Heather and I am the Fertility Midwife. So I help people on their fertility journeys to gain their identity back while they're going through the journey and gain their lives back and clarity and direction, as well as actually helping them to get their dream of having a baby at the end of the journey.
I love that. The Fertility Midwife. Totally stepping into that space, the fertility midwife. Let's just tell the listeners that you are actually a midwife, aren't you? That is actually real.
I'm still a registered midwife. Yes, I am. I left the NHS some years ago to move into private practice and have used that expertise to specialise in fertility.
And that's really important because there are lots of people in the same field, but not as many people or nobody like you that has the same expertise. And it's really important to allow yourself to own that. I encourage everybody to own that, own what you've learned years learning and why it's so important. But let's just talk about, first of all, kind of the path that brought you here, the path that brought you to what you do now, and why. What do you think were the pivotal points for you? So if you go back to your teens or your early 20s, or kind of paint a picture of what your life was like then, who were you then and what were you doing then?
Okay, so I was early 20s. I was living in Spain. After a holiday to Ibiza, I didn't come home, settled in Spain, and I became a mom quite young. Had my first daughter. I got pregnant at 22. I was in a really bad relationship, without going into detail. So I was very unsupported, didn't have any family around, didn't speak Spanish at the time. And although just as a caveat, obviously working in fertility, I don't want to ever sound ungrateful because I did conceive really easily. So I'm not dismissing that, but I had an awful pregnancy, very lost, very unsupported, very difficult time adjusting to being a mom, and a similar experience when I had my second baby. And that was not straight away, but that was the catalyst of me eventually training to be a midwife to help other people going through a similar experience.
And so you're there with 2 children, training to be a midwife because of your own life experiences. Where did you train and how long did you do that piece of your journey for?
So I trained in Birmingham, which I'm sure you can tell by my lovely accent, at BCU, Birmingham City University. It was 4 years because I literally started the training with only a couple of GCSEs under my belt, having left school, but with only a few GCSEs, so no A-levels. So it was starting from scratch with an access course. So 4 years of training as a single mom with 2 children, working night shifts, working all of the 12-hour hospital shifts. So not going to lie, it was bloody hard work.
I
Yes.
bet, yeah. I
Got a
mean,
huge sense of achievement.
yeah, these are the kind of guests that I bring on here. We're not talking about people that just like let life pass you by. We're talking about somebody who went to Ibiza, then decided to stay there, then fell pregnant, then knew that that wasn't necessarily in that relationship wasn't that great, and came back, had her second child, and then decided actually all these life experiences, I'm now going to bring them into my life. And it's not going to be easy. I'm going to take 4 years to train to become a midwife, and then I'm going to help people in this space. So, what was midwifery like for you?
Hard work. So it was not, I love being a midwife and I absolutely love supporting the families, the women and the families, but it wasn't the vision that I'd had. My vision was being a community midwife. That was exactly what I wanted to do because it was about the continuity. So building that relationship with someone from the very beginning of their pregnancy, supporting them all the way through so that they had that person to trust, someone that knew them, someone so every time they go for an appointment, they're not re-explaining their fears, their concerns, their questions. And sadly, just the constraints of the area I was working in, that wasn't really possible. So it was just, I came away really from shift and coming home at the end of the day feeling like I didn't give her long enough. I can't go back and visit her tomorrow, even though I know she probably needs an extra visit because I've already got a full caseload. So I was not coming away with that. I don't want to use the word satisfaction, but just that sense of like, I've given them what they need. And that was really tough because I put everything into getting that qualification and into getting that role. And I just felt I couldn't give the care I'd been trained to give.
And that is because you are a deep-hearted, beautiful human who is here to create massive impact in the world. And
Oh,
sometimes we really can't create massive impact when we're in somebody else's structure. And I think when we're in an enforced environment, as great as they are, I think sometimes when we allow ourselves to step away, and I talk about daring to leap, make these big decisions to step away and move into different spaces, then that's where success comes. So how did you transition then from the whole midwife bit into the sort of specializing in fertility and the work that you do now?
I trained as a reflexologist first of all, and it was something that I'd used reflexology. I'd had it in my pregnancies. It was something I'd always been passionate about. I remember actually saying to the uni, "Oh, can I train as a midwife, a reflexologist alongside?" And they were like, "I wouldn't. I wouldn't take anything else alongside," which they were very right to give me that advice. So I started training, started doing my reflexology. I mean, I left the NHS altogether and actually went back into sales so that I could like fund then this retraining journey. Started with the reflexology, went straight into working with pregnancy and fertility, the extra training, because that's where my passion lies. And it came, actually, I worked a lot within the pregnancy world. First and babies. So I trained in so many different things. There's a long list. I was a hypnobirthing instructor. I was a pregnancy yoga teacher, teaching birth workshops, baby massage, baby yoga. So everything around the world of pregnancies and babies and reflexology, and did this for years and years. But I knew eventually my area of expertise and where I wanted to focus was fertility, and that I felt like I was, wearing too many hats and had to cut everything back. I mean, it happened kind of naturally in COVID, actually. It was a bit of a blessing in the sense of all of my classes stopped. I actually went back into working for the NHS at that point. And when we kind of got our lives back, I just really focused in on the fertility and then trained to be a nutritionist as well. Because it got very apparent that like reflexology is absolutely wonderful for nervous system, for helping with just, natural fertility and supporting IVF. But actually to make a proper difference, nutrition, supplements, all of those areas are also really, really key for reproductive health.
So I just want you to all, whoever's listening at the moment, I just want you to see if you can see yourself in Heather's path. Because if you listen to any of the episodes about me, I have been on this journey of like multiple qualifications. And I think some people go on it. They go on it because there's a passion and there's a purpose for every single qualification. But what happens is we get to this place where we have all this knowledge and wisdom. And there's a piece where I'm like, actually, do you know what? I'm not gonna keep learning. I'm really gonna take all this learning and create the biggest impact that I'm here to make. And this is where you really tap into your intuition, your knowing, because like, this is what I want to do, and this is my big, great desire. So let the listeners know a little bit about where we met, what happened where we met, because that's quite an interesting story, isn't it?
So it's hard to believe it was literally only about a month ago. And here we are. I was actually driving home. It was in Hove, so a couple of hours from me. And on the way home, I was driving back and started listening to your podcasts. No idea that a month later I would actually be sitting here as a guest. So that's how wonderful life works out, isn't it? But we met drinking wine. I mean, what better way to meet?
Yeah, we definitely did. We were drinking a fair amount of wine, but
A fair amount of wine.
we had we'd gone to an event that Heather and I were both at. A fabulous lady called Colette Macbeth, who is just epic at what she does. And we were both there at an event, and we both sort of decided to have dinner with some other ladies as well. And we were just talking about kind of like dreams, desires, ambitions, and that kind of thing. And then a little bit of energetic mastery came into play with a few glasses of wine. Let's just be honest. I like to keep things real. And Heather and I were talking about like big goals and big desires. And I remember Heather saying, I want to create this whole movement, and I'd really like to spend part of my time back in Spain, and I'd really like all these other things. And I'm like, well, all of that can happen. Let's just work out how that can happen. And can you remember that conversation?
I can. I hadn't drank quite as much wine as you. So you've done. Only because I can't handle it. Yes, I can. And it was really like, it was wonderful to be surrounded by not just you, like there was a group of four of us, wasn't there? To be surrounded by people that just get it as well. Like when you've got this passion, this desire, what I was sharing with you is to make this fertility information available to, the wider population, that there's so much that people don't know that they can do. And so often people will come back to me and say, oh, why didn't I know this? Why have I never been taught this or told this? So yeah, that's my kind of like lifelong goal and mission, but also for me personally, yeah, I want to be back sharing some of my time in Spain and having space and having freedom. And I was very restricted with, full-time working with reflexology clients still, and never having the time and the energy and the space to focus on actually what you would call the CEO work and driving the business forwards. And you were quite inspiring with that to kind of help motivate me and tell me it was possible.
There is, let's just put a caveat that I don't really usually meet people when I'm like absolutely half caught, but that's actually what happened. With I Dare to Leap, there's a real piece where I can see with people that this mission, this vision, these desires that are really expansive, they've got to be able to back themselves. They've got to be able to jump, and sometimes that jump, that leap, they don't know how to do it. They don't know what's there. They don't know their blocks. They might have done a load of mindset stuff. They might have done a load of energetic stuff, but you can't see your own stuff. And I will forever say this on this podcast. I can't see my own stuff. That's why I have somebody, and the people that I work with can't see their own stuff either. It's just subconscious, or it's hidden, or you just need to be called out. That's quite honest. There's some things where you really need to be like brought up and your identity brought up to speed. Heather is a phenomenal expert. And sometimes when we own that expert piece, sometimes we have beliefs around, being too much or being too full of ourselves, or can I really claim this, and all this kind of piece. And actually, when we do the deeper work and we know that actually we are phenomenal at what we do, and we are able to stand strong in that and stand strong in that energy. So Heather jumped into working with me one-to-one, and it's been pretty wild. Like she says, we're on the podcast. We're already like flying with lots of things, and really working on mind and stability and safety before we go exponential with the energy. I want to talk about who are the clients that you work with. So where are they kind of on the journey, or what are the three types of people or couples that you work with?
So yes, number one, I work with couples. because male factor fertility is such a huge piece of the puzzle. And so often I've seen women that have spent years and years trying and making changes and doing things, and nobody's actually looked at the man. So that is a big part of where my work lies. And I work with couples that are certainly not at the start of their journey. They've often been trying for a long time, and often that it's the kind of gap between just keep trying and then going for IVF, or there's nothing wrong, it's unexplained infertility, and again the solution is IVF, which it's a wonderful treatment that we have that creates babies amazingly, but it isn't, it isn't a magic wand, and if there's an underlying factor that still needs to be looked at. So it's that kind of gap in the middle of helping to find what the root cause is, what can be done about it to get the couple to either conceive naturally or to be in the best health to have the IVF. On top of that, oh, sorry, sorry, jumping in. It's going to just say on top of that, it is there's so many different areas of the work. So it is the clinical side. It is helping them to find the root cause, the right tests, and then the solutions and the answers. But it's also the mind, the energy. There's like so many layers and so many factors. And that's where all of the different qualifications and training I have had over the years, like all come together with this work, because I can look at the mind, the body, the nervous system, all of that together, which are all vital pieces of the puzzle.
And I think that's where your uniqueness is, isn't it? I know from people who've come to work with me and people who I've met along my journey of life that have been in this kind of space of either being told that there's nothing wrong, they just need to keep trying, which must be mega frustrating, and or that we don't quite know. There's like this uncertainty, and then this overwhelm of what's possible, and also this overwhelm of cost and no certainty and all of that kind of stuff. So I know there's a real piece within the mindset pieces with couples, as well as their whole relationship dynamics. There's a lot that you hold as like individuals' journeys, the relationship dynamics, and then the mindset and the nervous system and everything else. It's a lot that you hold for the couples.
It's huge, and it's their whole identity. People lose the sense of who they were. If you've always just assumed or believed you're going to have a family, and then all of a sudden you can't, and that whole dynamic of I actually had a husband say to a client sitting in front of me just recently, I've just been writing a post about it today, he actually said, if you want to leave me, I'll understand, because we found the factor to be his. And that's like, well, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? It's, the whole who they are, what they mean. There's so many layers to it. It's even hard to articulate, but it's holding people through that. So it's, it's not just let's hopefully get you pregnant. It's that whole transformation of people coming to me really broken and really quite lost in where they are, but actually getting themselves back and actually being able to put headspace and energy into each other and into other areas of their life, because it's just so all-consuming.
And let's talk about that beautiful client who sent you a testimonial this week, because I think there's a real piece with the work that Heather does that is beautiful, and her aim is to give you all the information and all of the guidance and all of the support, and really get clinical as well as the identity piece as to what's really going on, with the full aim always being to allow you to, go on your path to have a family. Talk about what happens when that actually happens for your clients, what difference that makes for them, and then talk about it as for you as a human and about the impact that you're here to make.
Well, you just can't describe the feeling. There's obviously no better feeling to be. Often I'm like the third wheel in the relationship. So for clients it's so private, it's so personal. So if I've got clients that have had multiple miscarriages, or they're going through rounds and rounds of IVFs, sometimes I'm literally the only other person that knows. They don't tell their family or their friends. So it's such a privilege to be a part of that journey and to be the first person that they message when they've found out they're pregnant or they've given birth. yeah, it's the best feeling in the world. It really, really is. And it's just amazing to know that it is possible for people when they have literally given up hope or they've just been told it won't happen. And I know we can't guarantee this for everyone, but when it does happen, yeah, it's just indescribable. And for them as well, like they come to me telling me they're so grateful, but I just feel like I don't need gratitude. It's a privilege to be involved in your journey for me.
I think that's the piece, isn't it? It's when you're in full, complete service. You know, this is what you're passionate about. This is how you want to help people. This is the skills you've got. This is the wealth of wisdom that you've got. And this is how you can do it. And they're just like so grateful that somebody can listen and see them
Mm.
and, you know, like witness the journey that they've been on so far and then hold them side by side emotionally, physically, mentally, all of the ways to be able to be that version of themselves that can hold whatever it is that they truly desire and then bring it into
Mm.
their life if they can.
Yeah, absolutely. That's well put.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about the bigger picture and what's the desire? Where are you going next? What's the big dream for your
Well, I'm going to
clients and for
Spain
yourself?
in a week's time.
Well, you go to Spain.
As you
Let's
know,
just
I'm
talk
going to
about
Spain.
Heather being a
That's a
fast
start.
mover. So Heather's like, listen to the podcast, then she was on the podcast, met me, then signed up to work with me. Hey, let's just talk a little bit about Heather's journey, actually. She met me, then bought my program Time to Trust, which if you're listening or if you go on the website, Time to Trust is like a 7 activation entry program for people to experience. Heather bought that, and I think possibly the next day she said, I've just got to work with you, because there was
Yes.
something in the time, wasn't it? It was really soon, wasn't it? You hadn't
Yeah,
listened
it
to
was
everything.
I don't mess around.
She
I
doesn't know.
make a decision.
Yeah, she make a decision, she's in. And I think that's the thing. I think when you're thinking about life and success and whatever's possible for you and your impact and what you're on the planet to do, Heather knows what she's here to do. Some people listening will definitely know what they're here to do. There's just blocks, there's stuff in the way, there's pieces that are preventing them leaping into it. And I think it's really important to leap. If you're the person that leaps, like Heather and I are full on, we're just leap straight away. We are those kind of people. But there are people that are listening that take their time. That's what they want to do. They want to regulate themselves before they leap, and that is totally their path. So I'm here for the leapers and I'm here for the lurkers who like to watch and then leap later. Let's talk about the big vision. You're going to Spain, but what else do you really want
Yes.
to achieve? What's the big impact?
So I want to be able to create. So the way I work now, it's 12 weeks of one-to-one private fertility care. It's very in-depth. It is very intense. You know, it's a lot for me to hold couples through that. So I work with very, very few couples at a time. And that means that I can give them my all. And in terms of doing that with, you know, my knowledge, my energy, I need to create that space around me so that I can then be creative to work on other things as well. So that's been a huge transformation for me to be able to do that. And I've talked and talked for years and years. Anyone around me that's known me longer than you have will know that I've got this vision of I want to create not like a generic fertility program. I know that you can buy those 10 to the penny. You can research stuff online. People are drowning in information. I want something that's really going to guide people, so that there's something that everyone can access, that you don't have to come and, you know, invest financially in working with me one-to-one, for example. So I've got all of these ideas and I just need to sit down and start doing it. Hence the trip on my own, solo trip to Spain, which I haven't been away on my own probably in over 20 years, since before the children were born. So that is the plan, so that I can actually, you know, be the catalyst of me going away to start creating something bigger, which I will look forward to maybe coming back on and sharing with you when it's done.
Yeah. There is, I think there's a real piece when you decide to back yourself. It's always so interesting for me how everything moves so quickly. You're like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Heather and I met for her intensive, and one of Heather's goals was I want to be on a podcast. I was like, great, you can be on mine. She's like, boom, I've done that goal. Life can be that easy. We create obstacles and we create barriers that aren't always there. We think that things are going to be much harder. They're going to take longer. They're just not going to happen. And I think when you back yourself and you're just like, I'm just going to make this happen. and I've just got to work out what's in the way for me to make this happen, then you
Yeah.
energetically up level yourself to a completely different space where you come on a
Yeah.
podcast where you've never been on a podcast before. So celebrating that. Then you book a time away in Spain that you haven't been to for 20 years. So celebrating that. Then you decide that you're going to stop doing your reflexology that you've done for 10 years because you're actually going to go all in on this journey. So celebrating that. Then you decide that you're actually in this space of, I'm going to reach my one-to-one people and I'm going to create this wealth of knowledge that can be global, that people can tap into
Mm.
as they go through their journey. And then if they want to come in one-to-one, they can. But actually, part of Heather's big mission is to reach the masses with information that they can take, not masses of information that's like she says that anyone else can get. This is like curated, bespoke. You can live through it with her type of information. And that is absolutely crucial. All of the information to get hold of Heather, to find out a bit more, to book a call with her will be underneath the podcast show notes. Like everyone, you can go and message her. What's the best platform for people to get on to get hold of you?
So, as part of me leaping forwards, it is now the Fertility Midwife, but there is the rebrand hasn't happened yet. So the company is still called My Holistic Fertility, soon to be changed to the Fertility Midwife. I'm getting tangled in my words. So that is the Instagram bio, but Facebook website page. It's all still My Holistic Fertility, and that's where you can find me, and all the contact details are on there as well.
And so when Heather does her rebrand, all of the details underneath this podcast episode will be updated. So whatever is underneath the episode is what's live now. So please do go underneath the show. If you are in this space, if you are either a male or a female, or if you're a couple that have listened to the episode and you're in this space, please do reach out to Heather. There is no judgment. There is no, it's a very open conversation of where you're at, what's happening so far, and where you really want to go, and what's the plan and what you'd really like some guidance on. And Heather can definitely help you and support you and see what's possible for you.
Yeah.
So finally, the last piece is I always ask all of my guests, which is about the energy of success. So we have talked quite a lot energetically in the work that we're doing in the one-to-one work, but I wanted to just ask you a little bit about what the energy of success is for you in your life, in your business, in your own relationships. What's all that for you? What's really important to you, and what do you value?
It is having actual energy in itself, being perimenopausal and not having the energy that I used to have, and getting frustrated with myself because I'll get burnt out and there's still hours in the day and I want to just create and create and create, or see more people or help more people. So actually creating space around me to rest so that I'm able to do my best work is really important to me. And on a personal note, it is having that with children growing up, having the freedom to travel again and work with clients all over the world, because we have the wonderful advantage of Zoom and the internet. So to be able to have that freedom while I'm supporting people, and as you just identified before, creating something to make a difference worldwide with fertility.
Boom.
Small goals, Charlotte, small goals.
I love big goals. I love massively ginormous goals. That's what I'm here for, because that's what life's about, isn't it? You've got to be able, navigating a journey of helping people whilst managing your own life. If you've got this passion and desire within you that Heather and I both have, it's a non-negotiable for you. You've got to do it. There's something within you that you have to do, and life passes you by because of situations and relationships that you're in and dynamics and all of those kind of things. And there comes a point where you're like, hey, do you know what? This is actually the dream and the desire and the mission. This is what I'm here for. So now I'm going to go all in on it. So I absolutely celebrate you. I'm so excited about the work. You will come back on the podcast in 6 months and we'll talk about your epicness and how everything has evolved and how fabulous it all is. So thank you so much.
If this is how far ahead I am within a month of knowing you, I can't imagine where we'll be in 6 months. So bring it on.
I know, bring it on. We are so here for it. Bring it on and some more. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you for being cracking your podcast virginity, should we say, and being on your first episode. Long may you go on many more episodes. And thank you, listeners. Like I say, if you've got any questions on this one, it's a sensitive topic. I know some people will never talk to other people about it. Please do reach out to Heather, because it is important for you to get answers for your own journey.